Thanks. My father could not have expected me to be strong without the love of a good woman. So my father, this is what they're suggesting. There was a hostage situation, and the terrorist Jew threatened he could kill me when I was a toddler, and my father, I guess, was confronting him, trying to throw them out of the house, which was his legitimate right because the Jew was a terrorist. Apparently Thomas Dotzler is a Jewish terrorist. I don't know if he's still alive, but he's one of those who had a nose job. So the Jewish terrorist was threatening me, and I didn't have the strength to call his bluff. Maybe he was serious, who knows, and maybe he would have killed me. But he might have killed me by breaking my neck immediately, and this is after fagotizing me, which was something I probably wanted to do, but because I was being used as the bait in the trap. So anyway, then the suggestion is I was so starved that I was always fragile, and I was always emotionally fragile from a lack of neurotransmitters because we never got to eat. Maybe Stephen, my father, was trying to starve out the Jews and the Tennessean Christians who were besieging all the women and raping all the children, while Stephen was trying to say, nobody eats until these scumbags leave, and we're going to be vegetarian, and so that the scumbags will go away. But the scumbags could just go out and eat some pork and beef and fried chicken and pizza, cheese pizza, and fill their testicles up, and then and drink some booze and some sweet tea, and then they return charged up and liquored up and snort some coke, and they're ready to fuck the children again. And Stephen's like, we're gonna be vegetarian until all the assholes leave. And that was a big mistake because he was starving us to death. So we were starving to death, and Stephen was trying to get rid of the Jews and the Tennessean rapists who think they're Native Americans, Christians, Tennessean Christian rapists who think that they're Native Americans, and also some stragglers that were picked up, Latinos and Afro-Latinos, Afro-Cubans. So Stephen was like trying to get rid of a whole bunch of raping bandits by starving everyone, which was a really stupid idea. So my mother was being starved while she was pregnant. And then they threw my father in jail. What he needed was a mental health counselor to say, stop trying that tactic of starving everyone. It's not working. You're not scaring anyone away with it. They just go out to the nearest town and fill up their bellies with meat, and then they return ready to fuck your children. So anyway, Stephen, my father, said, well, Paul's a whip, and well, my mother had already turned everyone against my father, because my father was left with just me, and a male child craves, any child, male or female, craves the affection of a woman. His mother, most of all, but a woman is what he wants. And Thomas had a woman, and my father had been abandoned by his wife. He had been sent to jail by the Jews and Christians. Sent him to jail and let him get raped in jail. Put him on amphetamine in jail, and he's going to turn gay for his cellmates. And it's the same thing as rape if you don't have a choice to leave, even if you're willing. So they put him in jail, and they said, Stephen was being starved, and he underestimated how bad things were going to be. He needed to eat chicken, but they would probably only offer him beef. They'd say, here, beef is what's for dinner. And he'd be like, no, I'm not going to eat it. And he would turn more and more frail and gay, because he wasn't eating meat. And he was on amphetamine without eating meat. He needed to eat fried chicken, but the jailers, the Christians, would say, no, we're not going to give you chicken. You got to eat Bambi. Here's beef. It's what's for dinner. We killed this cow. And here's the cheese that was made from her milk. We killed this cow just right outside the jail, and she was beautiful. And we fucked her. And then this is what the Christians and the African Americans and the Jews were trying to starve my father. Well, I don't want to eat beef, period. But I wanted to find out, eating some beef and pork sausages, whether they get better neurotransmitters and better moods. The evil men, who are the belligerent rapist terrorists, who hate the white race and put a siege on my father. So anyway, I'm explaining some context of why my father didn't anticipate that I would behave as a defector, is what I think the suggestions are accusing me. Behaving as a defector. Instead of running to my father didn't have a woman. And so I was just like, we're dying together, starving, and he hasn't got a woman, and he's grumpy all the time, and we rarely get enough food. We never get the right food. We never get the food that we need to survive. It's always soybeans. And so I'm always starving alone with my father. And it's so then Thomas had a woman, and that's decisive, to have a young woman on your side. And that's what turned me as an attraction to his wife, Margaret. So whether Thomas threatened to kill me or not, I think that was irrelevant by that time, because Stephen was so delusional about trying to starve out the enemy, it wasn't going to work. And he had starved my mother while she was pregnant with me, and that was a bad move. And starved us after I was born. That starvation idea, it started with the Jews telling the hippie, quote-unquote hippie women are above being hippies or squares. Women are more powerful than, and they don't have to abide by the difference of being a hippie or a square. But the women in college were told by the Jews unrealistic things. You can stop eating meat. You can be vegetarian. It's not true. You wither, you go crazy and die slowly. So the Jews and the young women started it, the young college women started it, the vegetarian trend. But my father tried to use it as a way to chase out the enemies, the extra men who were gang-banging all the women and children. And it didn't work. It was a stupid idea. He should have been like, let's have a whole bunch of chickens and feed them grain and feed them all our food scraps, and we're going to eat chickens and constantly eat chicken all the time. He should have declared fiesta. It's time to eat chickens all the time. We're never going to be vegetarian again. That was a horrible idea. It was a Jewish idea. Anyway, he was all wrong. And so I'm sure my father said, my son was weak and he's a traitor. He didn't have a woman on his side. That's why I was not. This is what they're suggesting, is that I wasn't loyal to him. And in the moment of the what they call a Mexican standoff, like, yeah. So my father might have brought a knife in there. Maybe anyway. It's horrible. It's horrible. I hate Thomas. I hate his son Samuel. That's Thomas Dotzler. I hate Thomas Dotzler and his son Samuel Gaskin. He's not a Gaskin. And my father needed mental health counselors, but everyone was against him. Nobody was on his side. And so then my father was probably felt bereft that nobody was on his side, not even me. He was completely mentally delusional on starving us, trying to drive the enemies out. And I would never do that, but starving myself, I would never do that again. And it's a stupid idea, because it's not a legitimate way to protest, because what you're doing is killing your own brain, so you lose your mental coherence as if you try to protest by starving yourself, you lose your mental coherence as you go along. And so then you start falling apart mentally, and the damage lasts for years. For your whole entire life, there will be damage from if you try to do like I did, a 30 days. And it was 30 days watching 3 meals a day pass by without eating. And the only thing I had, first 2 weeks was black coffee and sugar. And that was a bad mistake. I scorched my stomach lining with the black coffee. And so then I said, well, I better put some creamer powder, some non-dairy creamer, whatever it is. It's maybe it is got some soy in it, or maybe it is got some dairy in it. Actually, it's maybe, I don't know, corn syrup solids, egg, maybe it's egg whites or something. It tastes like milk in your coffee. Maybe it's also milk. Anyway, very little. And so I started to have some of that in my coffee in the next 2 weeks. And they're telling me, Paul, they're saying, we don't believe Paul did that. He must have had a lot. And it's like, no, I got a lot after I got out. I bought lots and lots of dehydrated milk, and I put non-dairy creamer, like buying the whole non-dairy creamer container, big ones, and dumping them in to make a milkshake in it. Guess what? It tastes exactly like a McDonald's milkshake. If you get a big container full of coffee creamer, whatever you call it. It's this milk substitute, the dehydrated milk substitute. It's not all milk. The milk, if it's all dehydrated milk, it gets clumpy in your coffee. So it's mostly corn syrup solids and maybe some egg white, powdered egg white extract. I don't know, whatever it is. But I mixed that together with dehydrated milk, and it tasted exactly like a McDonald's milkshake. So anyway, these Americans are a bunch of rapist, terrorist monsters, and my father couldn't get any help because he was misled, thinking that he had to be a communist to oppose the war in Vietnam, and that he thought he had to be a communist to oppose the war in Vietnam. He was unable to separate these ideas from each other. So most of the Americans, men that I see around me, are very few of them are any good. Sometimes I see a good one. I say, well, that guy must have come from a corporate business office, and now he's pretending to be a blue-collar worker, because he's got the manners of a corporate businessman, where much more patient and smooth. And there's so many men out here that are just like monsters. There's just a bunch of hairy monsters is what I see. America is full of rapists and terrorists who are just lowlifes. And that's the reality of America, because they made it illegal to have duels after Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. All right, that's all for now. This is a long video.